Hurricane Lee is on its way to being one of the top 5 hurricanes we've ever had on record. Hi, everybody. I'm meteorologist Chris Justus. A rapidly intensifying monster is in the Atlantic right now, set to become a Category 5 hurricane with sustained winds at 165 miles per hour. Folks, I'm going to give you the full breakdown on here. If you can, please go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel for constant updates on all things severe weather, and turn on notifications. When it comes to severe weather, my goal is to inform you so that you can make plans to keep you and your family safe. From Florida to the Carolinas to the Northeast, when it comes to hurricanes, tornadoes, or snowstorms coming our way this year, I'm dialed in. Right now, we've got a monster. It is every bit as strong as Idalia right now, and Idalia never looked this organized. That's the whole thing here. I mean, look at this. Is basically a buzzsaw. I mean, there is nothing in its path right now in the near term that's going to stop this thing from developing. It's just going to continue to grow in intensity and become a monster, and that's what you have. You have perfect symmetry, and I say that not like I'm glad it's perfect. No, I'm saying this is the textbook hurricane, if there ever was one. And what I mean by that is you look at the inside of this storm. There's symmetry, complete symmetry. The eye wall is a complete circle. It has 4 quadrants there. There's storms firing up and rotating around that entire eye wall right there. It's got the look of this buzzsaw. You see those feathered edges to the clouds right there. That central dense overcast. I mean, it just tells me the system is venting. It's breathing well. It's a machine, basically. It's nothing short of a machine right now, and thank goodness this thing is well north of the islands. I mean, that's been my prayer all week, is that this thing's going to stay away from some of those islands, because honestly what this reminds me of, if you've been tracking hurricanes for a while, is Maria. If you remember Maria, one of my favorite places to visit in the Caribbean islands, St. Martin, took a direct hit. I mean, we're talking about waves that were 20, 30 feet high, storm surge. That's just the water, okay? The wind in that ripped bark off trees. It was the equivalent of having an EF3 tornado sitting over the same place for hours and hours. And that's what you have right now. You have a hurricane that is just whipping right now. Let me show you the wave heights out of this right now, updated 33 feet. I mean, that's the equivalent of a 3-story building high wave. Now, I've seen it in Hollywood. I've seen what that looks like on some of those movies, but I've never seen it in person, on video or anything like that, right? I can't imagine it. Okay, Hurricane Lee, as of the 5 o'clock advisory, had winds at 130 miles per hour. This is every bit probably a Cat 5. The track does call for that, and by the time you're watching this, it very likely will be a Category 5. All right, so 165 mile per hour sustained winds. Gusts are even higher, 175, 180, certainly not out of the question. I think Maria got up to 200 miles per hour. But this is on course, according to our models, to be one of the lowest pressures recorded in a hurricane. It gets up there with the likes of Katrina, Maria, like I mentioned, and Labor Day hurricane. I mean, we're talking about some of these major hurricanes that are just in textbooks that I learned about in meteorology school, coming our way. So where is it going? It's pointed toward the United States. And I'll tell you right now, if you live from the East Coast, from Key West to Maine, you need to watch this. That is not a weatherman's cop-out. That is an honest truth to you, that I can't say with certainty that this thing is going to curve out to sea. My computer models show that. Let me show you that. It shows it moving west, slowly stalling out, and then moving north. That would be ideal. That would be great. But I can tell you, Hurricane Matthew looked just like this. It didn't turn. Okay, there are many others like that. Isaac being another similar one to that. They have a hard time turning, and the reason why is the models grasp that it's a big storm, yes, but it doesn't grasp the capability of the jet stream to actually pick this monster up, twist and turn it, and send it north. These models are models, right? I'm a meteorologist, and I can tell you that as we look at these things, we're turning a school bus here, not a Toyota Camry, all right? It doesn't have the turning radius of a Toyota. It has the turning radius of an older school bus, right? Let's unpack one of these computer models, actually 2 of them, our reliable American and our reliable European model. So here we are. Let's start with the American model. The operational, as we call it, is in yellow. The other variations of that in green, those are the ensembles, as we call them. What is that? Well, basically in meteorology, we feed a computer model with data. That's why the hurricane hunters fly in there. We feed it with data that gives us a forecast. Well, we tweak it 26 different ways, 26 different times, slightly different starting position, slightly different intensity. And if you end up with a tight forecast like you have here for the Caribbean islands, we can pretty confidently say it's going to miss Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and the Windward and Leeward Islands. Great. We're not so confident up here. There's a spread of about 450 miles here between Bermuda and this far west track. But the good news, all of these different ones show it missing the Carolinas, the Southeast. But again, we can't rule out Maine. We can't rule out Nova Scotia. It's just wild to see this kind of a track. So Cat 4 moving west-northwest. The European, same thing here. Operationals in yellow. The many different runs are a hint to the west. And I say that with not to frighten you, but to tell you that we're still about 8 days away from this possibly making any kind of impact to the United States, okay? So a small change now could lead to a small change again tomorrow, and before you know it, a small change again on Saturday becomes a trend, and we're seeing this thing scoot closer to the United States. Again, I've seen it happen time and time again. We've got to watch it. All right, let me show you the players that are going to distribute this, okay? Again, models are great at picking up on a front, a pattern. What they're not so great at is realizing just how big this system is and how capable the jet stream is at actually turning it, all right? Does that make sense? Here we are watching this, and if you will, I'm in the comments section. If you will, let me know where you're watching from right now. That helps me out tremendously when I'm forecasting these things, okay? I'll dial this forecast up a little bit more detailed next time for where you're watching from. So whether you're watching from the Keys, where are my Keys folks at? Are there any of my friends watching right now in the Bahamas? Anybody watching from the Caribbean islands? Some of my favorite places, okay? Let me know. Let me know where you're watching from. I am based in the Carolinas. That's where I do. But I know YouTube has a far-reaching grasp of the nation and beyond. So I don't take that lightly, and I really appreciate you being here. Okay. So what's going to drive this? The dip in the jet stream and the cold front coming in as this system basically stalls out. I'm going to rewind this. Just look at this. Here's Monday at 7 p.m. Here's Wednesday at 5 a.m. I think it moved 10 miles. If that. I mean, geez. 7 p.m. through Wednesday at basically 7 p.m. This thing didn't move hardly at all, okay? But finally it's being picked up, and that's because there's a dip in the jet stream associated with this cold front that's urging things north. But, I mean, guys, we're playing with fire here. This cold front and the dip in the jet stream look to protect the Carolinas and Florida in this scenario. I mean, that's close. That's too close for comfort for D.C., New York, Boston, okay? Not saying it's coming your way, but I'm also telling you straight facts that we don't know that it won't come your way, all right? Sandy, Superstorm Sandy. We just know these things can happen this time of the year, all right? Let me show you that dip in the jet stream. So this is without the cold front. Here comes Lee. There's the Bermuda Azores high, steering this guy to the west. The high wants to push it west, okay? High somewhere over here. Wants to steer it west. So something else has to combat that. In this case, it's this dip in the jet stream. So this dip in the jet stream is an opposing force to that high. It wants to put the squeeze play and send Lee somewhere in the middle. So if this dip in the jet stream comes in on time, we're fine. However, you just saw it hit Canada. Maybe even Maine. I mean, that's why we got to watch this, folks. It's a dangerous storm. I mean, and honestly, it could hit Florida and it could hit Maine. That drives me nuts to even say out loud because as a meteorologist, I want to be a lot more fine-tuned, but we can. And I can't tell you what I don't know right now, but I will tell you this thing's a formidable threat. And I tell you, I'm not the only one concerned about it. National Hurricane Center's explicitly said in their 5 o'clock update today, there are some concerns this thing may not turn north when we want it to. Okay, so Hurricane Center's dialed in on it, and they've done a great job over recent years with messaging and all that. Here we are, wave heights. I want to show you this. Even if it goes several hundred miles out to sea, look at the wide reach that this system has. It's got 24 foot waves right there at the eye. Those waves will be rocking from Jacksonville Beach through St. Simon's Island, Tybee Island, Hilton Head, Isle of Palms. Areas that have beach erosion already right now could see 4 to 6, maybe even 8 foot waves because this thing's off to sea. Of course, it'll be more if it's closer. So we're watching it. We're watching it. We're dialed in on it, folks. If you will, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications. My commitment to you is to keep you posted around the clock about this system, where it's going, where it's trending. I'm not going to leave you hanging, and of course, I'm going to shoot you straight. If I'm concerned about it, I'm going to tell you. And right now, honestly, I'm not overly concerned, but I'm also not feeling good about it, okay? And I won't until we get into early next week. And that's probably not going to be, probably not going to have definitive answers until Tuesday or Wednesday of next week when we actually see this system making its turn to the north. Again, my hope is that we're all sipping, pumpkin spice latte, and it's chilly across the East Coast next week, and we've got a hurricane 400 or 500 miles out to sea, and we have no concerns about it. That would be my ideal weekend next weekend. Although I just know that we can't count on that yet. We just can't. We may be dealing with a major hurricane on or near the East Coast. Okay? We hope that's not the case, but of course, if it ends up being that, we will be here for you. All right, guys. Stay safe, and until next time, stay tuned.